What's up, man? Your dating life and your relationships will suck if you do not understand female nature. Luckily for you, I will teach you everything you need to know about women today so that you do not have to suffer anymore in dating or in relationships, and that you can attract an abundance of high quality women that are loyal without becoming a simp, without being a dickhead, without playing any toxic games. Truth number one is, bro, and you might not believe it, but women will bring out all your deepest insecurities. I would say there are two types of men, especially in dating or in relationships, the Kevins or the Andrews. So what's the difference between these two guys? So the Kevins are the guys who walk through life super confident in business and in their career, but the moment they meet a woman they think is super attractive or they think they love, they turn into this super clingy, needy guy that can't stop thinking of her. When they match with a super hot girl, they suddenly become completely obsessed with her. They meet her for the first time and they are over the moon and they think they want to marry her. And they do these things because they like all this trauma that they've experienced throughout their lives that they've suppressed, either in childhood, maybe they had an absent father or a controlling mother, or they've been bullied back in high school, or maybe they had a toxic breakup, right? All those things cause insecurities and cause a certain level of trauma, right? And they never healed this. And because of that, Kevin walks through life thinking that he's confident, but when he meets a woman of his dreams, bro, like he collapses and turns into this anxiously attached, clingy guy. And then we have Andrew, the complete opposite, the polar opposite of Kevin, who is this avoidant. And I think that's the typical like macho guy. Then every time a woman like tries to connect with him emotionally, he like runs away. And I used to be both, you know? That's why I know that this is true, bro. I used to be the Kevin, I used to be the Andrew. I used to be the guy who was anxiously attached, who thought that he was extremely confident and didn't need anyone until I met my first girlfriend, Sarah, and then just collapsed. I became super needy. I didn't know what was happening in my life. I was like, why am I suddenly like so obsessed with her, like reaching out to me? Why do I lose my shit when she doesn't hold my hand? Why do I get so triggered easily, you know, when she doesn't do what I want her to do or what I expect her to do, especially when I'm giving her all the things, you know? I give her gifts, flowers, chocolate, and she treats me like just a normal guy, you know? And that really triggered me, but I didn't set a boundary. I didn't lash out initially, because I was too afraid. I didn't want to lose her. So I pushed it down. I suppressed my true needs until like one day I snapped, you know. So that is a typical anxiously attached guy, the Kevin as I call him. Another version of Kevin is the guy who goes on a date with a girl and then immediately falls in love with her. He thinks he falls in love with her, but he just falls in love with the illusion of having this hot girl with her. Happened to me a couple of times. It was once with a Brazilian girl, bro. She was so pretty, like an 8 out of 10. And just like after date one, I was like, I want her to be my girlfriend. I was like, I barely knew her actually. And I came up with this story in my head that because she's hot, she's going to be the perfect girlfriend. Bro, I didn't know her values, I didn't know her morals, I didn't know her vision for life. How can I possibly think that she would be a good fit for me as a girlfriend? And so I bombarded her and love bombed her with texts until she started pulling away. And guess what I did? I chased her even more, and you know how the story ends, right? Nothing happened. I just got ghosted even more. And the antidote to Kevin was also Andrew for me. So I turned from this nice guy to this insecure, I returned from this insecure nice guy to this insecure macho. And I went through women like a hot knife through butter, bro. Like I was going out, I was getting drunk and I was banging women after women every weekend. I was a bartender, worked in finance, and like during those days, man, I was not in shortage of women. I had an abundant dating life, but it wasn't fulfilling. I met like two really good girls, let's call her Kathy and Marie. One might have been more a bit into crystals, the other one might have been an investment banker, right? And they were both completely two opposite like types of women, but they were both like really interested in me. But every time they got like close to me, I pushed them away, and I started cheating. I started running away because I was too afraid of creating this like emotional connection. And a lot of like men are too afraid to admit that we deep down want an emotional connection with a woman, but it's not seen as cool to be with one girl. It's cooler to sleep around and fuck around and engage in endless, meaningless sex. And I've done it, bro, but like it's so unfulfilling. Like you wake up, how often, I can't count the amount of times I woke up next to a girl. I was like, bro, can she already leave, you know? Or I just finished on her. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And can you leave now? Essentially, because I didn't want her to be there. And I asked myself after like, I don't know, hundreds of hookups, like hookup number 200, whatever. I asked myself, okay, bro, like, what the fuck am I doing here? Actually, I'm a high achiever. I'm wasting my time here with women I don't care about and engaging and wasting money and time on women I don't care about. And I could use that time to build like my future, you know? Deep down, I was just afraid of actually forming a deeper emotional connection. And I truly healed from this avoidant attachment when I met Sandra. And Sandra was actually the one who allowed me to work through this by giving me time, by allowing me space. Because of course, after we got like emotionally connected on a deeper level after the first couple of months, like I started to running away and try to sabotage the relationship. So long story short, bro, believe it or not, man, but women, like if you start liking a woman, bro, like all your insecurities will shine through sooner or later. They shine through on date number one when you're when you're unable to set a boundary or passing her test. They will shine through in your relationship when you suddenly lose your temper, when you cannot stand up to her anymore. Those are like results of conditioning from the past or unexpressed like trauma, whatever word you want to use, wounds from the past that you have experienced but are incapable of acknowledging because you're a man, you're not supposed to feel anything, right? Which is absolute bullshit. And man, yeah, because you don't work through your insecurities, because you don't heal, because you believe that you're not manly. If you do this, you will not be able to do all the things that a woman actually wants you to do because you are too insecure to do those things. And that's why your dating life and where your relationships go down the hill very, very quickly. So truth number 2 is that women love disagreeable men. And if you are a Kevin, if you're anxiously attached, you will not be able to disagree with a woman. So you see like why it matters so much that you work through your insecurities. And before I get into that point of like why women love disagreeable men, that's also as an Andrew, you will be someone who loves to disagree for the sake of disagreeing because you've watched the Red Pill a bit too much and you feel like under attack, you feel like your ego is threatened. That's why you always end up in fucking drama with your girls, because you can't put down your ego for a second and actually analyze the situation from a rational point of view and actually empathize with her. Why do women love disagreeable men? Because it conveys confidence, and confidence equals competence, and competence means that you are good at something, which means that you are most likely high status. And guess what? Women are suckers for men that are high status. Let's say you're a Kevin and you're on a date. Yeah, you are usually a confident guy, but when it comes to women, you suddenly become insecure for whatever reason, right? I mean, mother wound, father wound, but we'll go into that in another video. So let's say you go on a date and the girl is sitting across of you. You shouldn't sit across, first of all, either. You should sit next to each other, but different topic. So she grabs out her phone and she puts the phone, first thing she does when she sits down, she puts it at the table. And guess what? Then throughout the conversation, she starts looking at the phone and gets distracted. Now, if you're Kevin, in that moment, you will start being pissed off because I'm sure you'll find this disrespectful because you want to be present with her and she's disrespecting your need for like presence and connection in that moment. But because you're Kevin, you will not say anything. You will just suck it up because you're too afraid to lose her because maybe she's hot, she's the hottest girl you've ever been with so far. So you create that story that she's perfect and she will be the only one that you will ever meet that's going to be so hot, and you're already planning your future with her. So all you got to do in your head, or all you want to do in your head, is make sure that you do not do anything that could risk losing her. But you actually do the exact opposite of what she wants in that moment, because you do nothing. You convey weakness in that moment because you're too afraid for stepping up for yourself. You're too afraid to set a boundary in that moment. So you will just accept that she's playing on her phone and you can't actually have a good conversation. I used to have some girls who were like putting their phone at the table, and I didn't fly with me. I don't like that. So I asked her kindly, like, hey, look, I would love to connect with you and I would like to be present with you. So could you tell me, could you please tell me, is there like an emergency right now? Are you waiting for like an urgent call, or what's happening? And if she would say, no, there's nothing happening, then I'd ask her like, hey, then would you mind putting that phone away? Because I want you to be present with me. That is fucking attractive, bro, because in that moment, she feels your masculine resistance to her, let's say, I don't want to call it disrespectful behavior, but maybe clumsy behavior. Maybe she has never been on a date with a guy who actually has those kind of strong boundaries. You know, so as a Kevin, you must start to learn to fucking set boundaries and disagree with her, or like be willing to say things that might upset her, you know? I've also had girls on dates who were like talking about like veganism or whatever.
And like, oh my gosh, I'm so into hip hop.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I don't want to play any games here. I don't want to like pretend I care about hip hop just to build rapport and try to impress her that we have a connection. And guess what, bro? Like, I ended up with that girl, or like, not only that girl, a couple of girls who I completely had different values with, because, yeah, they loved how confident I was in myself and how confident I was in disagreeing with their taste and not trying to desperately impress her, you know? Now, I talk a lot about Kevin. I also want to bring in Andrew again. Like, Andrew loves the type of when I was a macho, I loved to disagree with girls just for the sake of putting them in their place, you know, because I was going through my red pill phase. At some point, you also realize that like women will be turned off when you're like playing a persona, like the tough guy, you know, they pick up on that, bro. So I also encourage you to like not go down the rabbit hole of the red pill and try to become like the red pill gurus, yeah, super loud, yelling, like trying to like gain attraction by intimidation. High quality women will see through this. They will like just laugh at you and like, bro, like, are you a boy? Are you 6-year-old? How small is your penis? Like what the fuck, you know? They will not say it that way, but they will just ghost you, because a high quality woman will not entertain low quality behavior from a male, you know? By the way, man, if you want to let go of your Kevin or your Andrew and you want to finally become 10 out of 10 confident around women, you want to attract an abundant dating life with high quality women, bro, why don't you work with me? Just click a link in the description, apply for a call for my mentorship, and then you will take it from there. Truth number 3 is women will test you, man. And I know that lots of guys go absolutely apeshit when they hear that women test them, and they call it playing games. And I don't want to entertain this because that's a waste of my time. And they fail to understand basic human psychology. Like, I don't want to, like, I think in the dating scene, like, people call it the shit test. I don't want to use that term, because shit test, in my point of view, has a very negative stigma. I would like to call it, or I call it with my clients, a congruence test. All a woman does when she tests you is to screen for your like status or sexual market status or sexual market value. Her test, her congruence test, is actually just an insurance for her to make sure that she's not ending up with an absolute deadbeat. Now, granted, that system might have a flaw here and there, but fundamentally, it's an evolutionary protection mechanism for her to make sure that you are the man that you say you are. Because if she were to ask you, hey, are you a competent, strong guy that I can rely on? Of course you would say yes. Of course you would say yes, because you want to get into her panties. So in order to call you out on your bullshit, whether or not you actually are the man that you're like pretend to be or claim to be and say to be, she's going to test you. And what she's going to test you for mostly is your masculinity and your composure, maybe over your wit and your charm. But generally, it's actually just your emotional regulation, your composure, and your masculinity. And when she tests you, all she wants to find out is, are you the guy that you claim to be? Are you strong and confident and emotionally regulated as you claim to be? And are you this great guy that you claim to be? Or are you actually a Kevin that collapses under tests, that gets passive aggressive, that gets snappy and loses his temper and actually gets emotionally reactive? She wants to know if you're a little boy stuck in a man's body. So on a date, there could be things like bantering with you. Like she could say, oh my gosh, did your mom pick your outfit, for instance, right? That could be a test of whether or not you can banter with her, if you can like bounce back with a witty response, or if you just ignore it and brush it off, or if you get actually defensive, like,
Hey, what the fuck? What do you mean? No. My mom didn't pick that. Of course not.
if you start explaining yourself during a test or when she tests you, you fail already as well. Like fundamentally, like she wants to know that you don't have to explain yourself to her. Like you're confident in yourself and in your outfit. That's all she wants to know in that moment. So you could respond with like, "Are you jealous? Are you jealous already? Oh, sorry, we can't all have good taste." Is another response, you know. Or you could just ignore it. It's like, "Oh, you're cute. You're adorably annoying today, aren't you?" Those are good responses to tests, you know. Throughout the dating process, especially early stage dating, women will test you a lot because they screen for sexual market value. And once she has confirmed that you are worthy of her, essentially of her feminine energy, for instance, and that she deems you as a valuable sexual like companion, the tests will like drop off, you know. But these tests will never truly stop because I see them as a sort of a temperature check of your quality of masculinity. So also in your relationship, she will test you. And actually these tests are amazing because they keep you on your toes. I see a lot of men turn into absolute slobs in relationships. So they're hyper successful in their career and they always get going after the bag and making more and more money. But then when they come home, they want to just chill. They completely stop doing the things that actually made them attractive. So they stop making effort at home, they stop setting boundaries, they stop being assertive, they stop being a masculine man. That's when you will notice when a woman will increasingly create more drama because she's fed up with being a liar. Because fundamentally, you lied to her. You pretended to be this great guy throughout the early stages of dating, and then when she actually like committed to you and you committed to her, you decided like, I'm gonna be my authentic self, which is not an excuse to become like a fucking Kevin in a relationship. And then you stop being like a high quality man. You stop grooming, you stop making an effort, you stop bantering, you stop being witty. And then of course she's pissed. I would be pissed if I meet a girl who looks like a fucking 10 and then she takes off all her makeup, her fake eyelashes, and then suddenly it turns out her boobs were actually fake and everything is fake about her. I would be pissed. If I find out 6 months or 10 months into the relationship that this girl actually has banged 125 men before and has an OnlyFans, but she never disclosed that before, bro, I'd be pissed as well. So I want you to understand that a woman's test is just a protective mechanism for her to make sure that you are the guy that you pretend to be or claim to be, not pretend to be, claim to be, and that you are making sure that you always stay on your game. And I'd say the best kind of relationships are the relationships where you keep each other accountable and help each other grow. Sandra and I, we have like monthly reflection sessions. Like Sandra and I, we have a whiteboard monthly. On a monthly basis, we look at this whiteboard and we reflect, okay, where are we falling short? What are your needs? What are my needs? Where do we need to step up? You know, and a high quality woman will help you step up and become a better man, and you will help her to become a better woman, and you become the most amazing couple together, and you'll conquer the world. Like, and this is all of the back of women testing you. And I think that's fucking amazing. I don't know what you have to complain about that. If you're a high achiever, you should love those tests because they keep you on your toes and make sure that you always are at the top of your game. Truth number 4 is so unbelievably obvious that I'm almost ashamed to state it, but for some reason I have to state it because when I go through the YouTube comment section and any social media platform, I'm baffled to see the amount of men like complaining about this specific fact, which is men and women are different. Wow. Unbelievable, isn't it? They are different. So what do I mean by that? I see so many men complain in the comment section on any social media platform about the fact that women are too complicated and too illogical and they should be more like men. Now, my question to those men would be like, bro, like if you want women to be more like men, like why are you into women in the first place? Why are you not into like men? Are you sure about your sexual orientation? Men and women are different because nature has designed it that way. What are you gonna do about it, bro? It is what it is. Now, the main difference between men and women in dating is simply that women are illogical and men are logical. So what does this actually mean? So men in dating are thinkers, they're quite highly analytical, or generally in life are highly analytical. Women, when it comes to dating specifically, are more feelers. So especially when it comes to communication style, men are very factual. We communicate in straight, direct lines. We're very goal-oriented when it comes to communication. We don't want to waste any time, or we don't want to waste any time on details that don't matter. When you ask a guy, okay, what do you do for work? He will tell you his title, his job description, and that's it. When you ask a woman what she does for work, she will maybe state her title, and then she will talk about how she feels about that job, how she feels about the colleagues in that job, in that role, how she feels about the company, and how she feels generally about things. Why does she do that? Because men are communicating to fix a problem. Women are communicating to build a relationship. And you build relationships not through facts, but through emotions. So fundamentally, when you're on a date and when you're in a relationship, bro, I need you to understand, yes, both parties should come each other's way a bit, especially in a relationship. And if you're with a great woman, a high quality woman like me, you will find a common ground of communication. But especially in dating, I need you to understand that if you want to pursue high quality women, you want to attract high quality women, you need to play their game, you need to speak their language, which means you need to move away, especially as a high achiever, this is going to be difficult. You need to move away from the thought of communicating in a goal-oriented, direct way and move more to a storytelling way of communicating. So instead of saying hey, when she asks you, hey, what do you do for work? Instead of saying, yeah, I'm a senior software engineer, I'm a senior analyst at this bank, whatever, and you throw around titles and you say, yeah, I work with spreadsheets. You could also say, I move around a lot of money. You could build a story about hey, have you ever heard of Uber Eats? And she's gonna say yes, and you can say, oh, great, glad you don't look like it. That could be a tease. And it's yeah, so essentially what I do is I create those apps, I develop those apps, and I help people essentially get their food, and I help people get connected, for instance. Those are things that you could say, and it sounds way more interesting than yeah, I'm a software engineer. Who the fuck knows what you're actually doing, So fundamentally, when you share what you do, or when you communicate with a woman, evoke emotions, bring in, include emotions, and tell more stories. And you can tell a great story about your title, for instance, by just asking yourself, okay, how could I explain this to a 6-year-old? That's how you could bridge the gap in the communication between men and women on dates and in relationships. I see this often with men who come to me for coaching. When they are in a relationship and they can't get their head around the fact that their woman, every time she comes home and is complaining about something and he offers a solution, she gets even more angry. Why is she getting more angry in that moment? Because he completely ignores her emotional needs. He listens to fix while she wants him to listen to listen. All she wants is that masculine rock who can handle those emotions, and then just give her a hug. That's all she wants in that moment.